Hello everyone, welcome to the fourth episode of the UQ Student Webinar Series. I'm Kransi and I'm your host for today. I'm studying a Bachelor of Communications and today I have Anthony Craig with me to help talk about pathways to UQ.
Hi Kransi, good to have you
Hi.
here. Yes, my name's Anthony and I help international future students who are looking to study at UQ through a couple of the pathways that we have here at the University of Queensland.
All right, so could you please explain just a little bit more about these pathways to meet the entry requirements?
Sure, so we have two main pathways. One is an English language pathway and that's to help students meet the minimum entry requirements to study at the University of Queensland.
Okay.
And the second one is a UQ Foundation Program. That's for students who are going to go on and study undergraduate programs here at UQ who maybe don't have the prerequisite studies to go into the program that they want to study.
Okay, thank you for that.
Thank you.
And now let's introduce our first guests who are going to tell us a bit more on how to improve your English language skills for studying at UQ. Hello, Paul and Eric.
Hello.
So could you just please tell a little bit more about yourselves?
Okay. Should I go first?
Yeah, go for it.
I'm Eric. I'm an international student from Taiwan, and I'm studying Master of IT program at UQ now.
All right.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Hello.
Great. And my name's Paul Forster. I'm the academic manager in charge of Bridging English at ICTE, which is the Institute of Continuing and TESOL Education. We are the English language arm of UQ.
Okay. Well, hello and welcome to our webinar. So,
Thank you.
Eric?
It's great to be here.
You did this program, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So could you tell us just a little bit more on why you chose this program?
Okay. So before I get into UQ, I need to meet the English requirement from UQ, and then unfortunately I didn't meet the requirement, so I need to go Bridging English program. That takes about 15 weeks for the whole time, the whole program, and then so we have different topics every week. So it's all about like academic topics. So we talk about technology and global warming, climate change, lots of things.
Okay.
And it helps me a lot like to get into UQ.
Okay.
Right.
And so, Paul, there are different entry points to go into this Bridging English program, yes?
Yeah, there are. There's entry points from 30 weeks up until 10 weeks, and that all depends on the latest sort of exam result you have from an IELTS or PTE or TOEFL. So, you know, for example, a student who has a 5 and nothing sort of under a 5, you know, could go in at the 30-week level. Whereas if you're closer to a 6, you might go in at the 10-week level. So that just determines the amount of time it will take for your language to develop to that level that you're required to go into your degree program.
And that's a direct entry pathway, and that's slightly different to the English for Academic Purposes pathway.
That's right, Anthony. We at ICTE, we've got two pathways. We've got the English for Academic Purposes, EAP pathway, and the Bridging English pathway. The EAP pathway is more about studying academic language in the classroom and also then taking an external examination. So you have people who are studying in EAP who might not necessarily have an offer from the university, or they might not want to go to university. They might just want to improve their English language skills. And you have others who want to go and they're really thinking, oh, maybe I will, maybe I won't. And the main difference with that course is that they have to do an external exam. They really want to progress to university. Bridging English is a direct entry pathway, so therefore studying in the course for 15 weeks or even longer and sitting the assessment at the end. If you pass that, then that means that you get moved directly into the university. You don't need that extra examination outside.
And so, Eric, those weekly themes that you mentioned, they would be different, Paul, to what you do in the EAP program, for example.
That's right, yeah. The EAP program will have different topics each week. There are similarities. There are similarities in terms of focus on writing, academic writing in both those courses. But EAP has more of a test focus because, as we said, they've got to do an IELTS test afterwards. So there's an IELTS component to that, whereas Bridging English is purely focused on language development. It's a language development course, so no matter how long you take in that course, the idea is to get your language from here to here.
Sure.
So that when you sit that assessment at the end, you're measured and you're able to meet that measurement.
And ICTE is an IELTS test centre as well.
Yep, we are an IELTS test centre, and we're also a Pearson testing centre.
Okay.
So we run the Pearson academic test as well.
Great.
So
And Eric, so how much time did you have to spend outside of class to brush up on your English?
Oh, okay. So there's no like a certain number, like
Yeah.
certain amount of time for me.
Yeah.
So I try to like stay in the English environment as much as I can. So after the class, I go to work. So in the first like 3 months, I did I was a cashier.
Oh.
So yeah, so I need to talk to my customer. So right, and then after that I was a kitchen hand, and now I'm barista. So it's all about like hospitality job.
Yeah.
So I need to talk to my customers, and then like to strengthen the connection with the customer, so that like of course we speak English, so that really helps me to in terms of English skills.
Yeah.
Right. So I think there might be over 10 hours a day for me if
Wow.
you really want to
Okay.
count the time. Yeah. Yeah.
So that was a good way of practicing your English.
Yeah, right. And then after work, I need to write an extra essay to my teachers, and then also read English paper. Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Okay. And so did you have any clubs and societies while you were doing the bridging program?
Yeah. So I joined the choir and the conversation club.
Okay.
So every Monday we have choir rehearsal. It takes about 1 to 2 hours. Yeah, and then sometimes we got like performance, so we need an extra rehearsal. So it takes another like 2 hours, 3 hours. Yeah, and then for conversation club, it's about 1 hour a week. Yeah, so we talk to the volunteer from UQ.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
Wow, and what was the advantage of doing the choir, Eric?
Yeah.
Yeah, what was the big advantages of doing that kind of activity?
Choir. Yeah. So in terms of choir, we need to sing, right? So and then if you want to sing like really well, you need to pronounce word correctly.
Yeah.
So it helps me like a lot of in terms of pronunciation. So makes me hear like sounds more like native speakers, I think. Yeah, and then improve the fluency in speaking as well.
And great for your confidence as well to be out there
Yeah,
singing.
right. Confidence. Yeah, in terms of confidence. So Vicky is the choir leader. So she really encouraged international students to speak out, even your English not really well in the beginning. And she really she's a really good listener. So and then so the choir is a really like English friendly environment for me. And then we like talk a lot, even with our English not good in the beginning, but it's good like you say to build up the confidence. Right.
And Paul, there are other things that you do as well at ICTE.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think just to expand on that, we do have a range of activities that students can do outside the class, and we encourage that. I think it's very insular if you just stay in class with the students and speak your own language. You're never really going to improve. So you really have to engage in activities beyond the classroom. So meeting other people, joining with UQ students, getting outside your comfort zone, I think is really important. We also have a range of learning support as well. So we run workshops. We have learning advisors that will meet students one-to-one and talk through things that they need to develop. We have supervised self-study. So there's lots of support there and activities and things you can engage in. I think for students themselves, you've got 20 hours in the classroom each week where you're studying with a teacher, but it's what are you doing outside of that 20 hours? So we have a lot of online resources through Blackboard, through learning management systems, other things that students are able to access. There are other print resources that students can access as well. And we'd encourage students to be spending 10 to 15 hours a week outside of the class to really develop. Remembering that the focus for these students when they're here is to go to UQ, to get their language to that level. And if you only do a little bit of work, you're really not going to improve to that level you need to. So there's lots of opportunities, and Eric's a great example of someone who just took those opportunities and engaged in them.
So did you see or have any other support while you were doing the course?
Yeah, so I got a lot of support from my teachers and from ICTE teachers as well. I write essays and then talk to my teacher like personal, like face to face, and I got a lot of feedback from her. anyway, like every 5 weeks, we have like a session like to sit down and talk to your teacher, and then they will give you a lot of feedback about in terms of your studying, like in speaking, reading, writing, listening, like so like really detailed feedbacks, and that's really like valuable thing for us.
That's good.
Right.
I think it's, we've got a really good group of teachers at ICTE, very experienced, and our teachers are always trying to help the students succeed. So I think that's the good examples that Eric gave there. Teachers are giving feedback on writing and speaking. They might get students to record their speaking and send it through and give some feedback on that. Wow. They sit down and talk with the students one-to-one and just listen to what the students have been doing and give them some advice as well. So I think it's one of the real strengths of studying at somewhere like ICTE.
Okay.
I mean, UQ is a top 50 university in the world, and so the programs that Paul, you deliver and that ICTE delivers produces the outcomes exactly like we want, Eric. It's great.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So finally, Eric, what are you doing now?
So I'm studying Master of IT now. So it's my last year. And then I do a part-time job as well. So in the morning I go to work at a cafe. So at a cafe, in terms of practicing my English, I need to talk to my customers. And then so even just for a small talk, like I think that's really helpful to my English skills. And then so it's also about fit into the Australian environment. So we talk about like lots of cultural topics as well, and sports as well. Yeah, so it's really good now. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's great to hear Eric's stories as well, and just sort of talking about those things. I think for a student to really be successful in Australia, that they have to step outside just their little bubble as well. I think you have to meet other people, you have to engage with the community, join UQ groups and clubs, so that you're not spending all your time with the people from the same country speaking the same language, because really that's going to hold you back from developing. So I think there's a lot of opportunities. Eric's taken those opportunities, and it's good to have students come back. We get students at graduation come back in their full graduation outfit, taking photos with the teachers and photos in front of the building that they studied at when they first arrived here. So it is really a whole UQ experience, a whole student experience.
Yeah, I think that journey is wonderful, and we have students here from 140 countries from around the world, so it's like a mini United Nations on campus here at UQ. So it's a wonderful experience. Great.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us today, and thank you for explaining so much about the ICTE programs. And please head down to the ICTE website for more information. And yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we're going to talk about the UQ Foundation Year with IES College. To explain that, we have Fabio and Jimmy with us today. Hello.
Hello.
Could you please
Hello.
give a little introduction about yourselves?
Yep, I'll start. My name is Fabio. I'm a regional marketing manager for IES. I look after the South American markets, onshore and New Zealand.
Okay. Hi.
Oh, hi. Hi, my name is Jimmy Jin. I'm from Korea, and I studied with IES in 2015.
Okay.
And I've graduated UQ in 2018 December with major with Bachelor of Arts and International Relations and Political Science.
Right. Thank you both for that, and welcome.
Thank you.
So Fabio, could you just tell us a little bit more about the foundation year with IES?
Perfect. IES has 3 different programs, foundation year programs for the University of Queensland.
Yeah.
The first one is the Express Program. This is a 29-week pathway, so it's a shorter pathway. It's quite intense because it's shorter. So there is a higher expectation on the students' academic levels and on their English language proficiency. We have 2 intakes every year for this program, okay? So the first intake of the year is in May, and the second intake of the year is in October. If you start at IES in May, you will be packaging at UQ in February following year. If you're starting in October, you'll be packaging at UQ in July following year, okay? The second program is the Standard Program. This is our most popular program. It's a 41-week pathway, and the students basically have the 41 weeks to do the subjects that they need and get the grades that they need to be able to progress at UQ. We pitch this program for students with good academic grades and good English language proficiency. And finally, we have the Extended Program. This is a longer pathway. This is a 47-week pathway. So there is 6 extra weeks in this program, we pitch this program for students that need a bit of extra help with mathematics and English, because they will be doing 6 extra weeks of these 2 subjects to make sure that they're up to the speed, and then they will be merging with the standard group. Okay. The standard program again has 2 intakes every year. The first one is in February and the second one is in August. If you start in February, you'll be packaging with February following year. If you start in August, you'll be packaging with July. The extended group, 2 intakes, January and June.
Okay. So earlier today, Jimmy took me on a quick tour around their campus, and here's a short video showing you the campus.
Hey, my name is Jimmy, and this is Kransi. As you know, we're at IES Foundation Year. It's called IES. We'll show you around the IES today with Kransi. Let's go. So, we're at the IES Cafe. We do really good long black. So long black's kind of like an Americano, as you know, in other places. The long black is more like Australian version of black coffee. So this is where I mostly stay my time in IES, like having food with my friends and grab a coffee with them.
Do they only serve coffee?
No, they also do hot chocolates and all sort of like chai latte and everything. This is the computer room where the students use their computer. As you can see, it's all windows.
It's pretty big.
It's really big, and also there's more upstairs.
So this is just one of the computer rooms?
It's one of the computer rooms, right?
Okay.
There's like heaps of computer room all around IES. So in IES, there's a lot of like small rooms and big rooms. So like small rooms are mostly used by for smaller classes, but like bigger rooms are used for lectures and big seminars happening in there. So and each room has one whiteboard and one projector, so like people can use it whenever they want and hold a workshop, like small workshop, wherever in IES.
So it's really easy for the teachers to engage with the students?
Oh yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, class going on right now.
So we're a political gallery. This is my favorite place of IES
Why?
because I study politics.
So what makes this gallery so special?
So I would say it helps international students to think more critically. It helps them to think more independently as well.
Yes, it just helps you think out of the box. in a way,
it is,
right?
yeah.
Oh, this is just a...
Yeah, that's the big lecture room I was talking about. It's nice and echoey.
Are these more study areas?
Yeah, there's study area over there. There's study area over here. And there's more study area over there.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a lot of study area.
A lot of segments.
So, there's some of the painting here. So it's done by Kali Mundunuti. Yeah. So this represents kind of like a globalism, and also this artwork is also a collaboration between the artist and the IES students. So as you can see, like there's some Hong Kong or like Singapore or Myanmar students that actually kind of engaged together and created this artwork.
I can see Singapore.
Yeah,
right
Singapore,
there.
yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. We're back where we started, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So thank you for being such a fantastic tour guide.
Thank you so much. Thanks for coming over.
Could you tell us a little bit about your experience with IES?
Oh, so my experience with IES. Thank you, Fabio. So I did the standard program with IES in 2015. So I started in February and graduated on December. And throughout this IES experience, I did academic English and mathematics as my compulsory major, and I did business management, economics, and behavioral science for my selective major. It really helped me to go through my UQ life because I had no idea, because I came from Korean background. I had no idea what to do in Australia. All the education system was completely different. So IES really helped me to develop all the skills that I need and require in UQ. So it really helped me a lot.
And so you said you did 5 subjects, so English and math and 3 others.
Yes.
That's the pattern, isn't it, Fabio? You do 2 plus 3 extras.
Exactly. Doesn't matter which program you choose to do at IES, students have to always do 5 subjects. Academic English and the mathematics will be compulsory. So it doesn't really matter what's the student's undergraduate aim. They always have to study mathematics and academic English. And then they will choose 3 electives. And the elective subjects will vary according to the student's undergraduate aim. So if they want to go into the science, and if they most likely will have to do biology and chemistry, most likely physics as well. If they want to go into the business stream, we have the business elective. So we have business administration, we have accounting, and we have economics. We also have a few other elective subjects which are more related to a few specific undergraduate aims, a few bachelor degrees, which is behavioral science, especially for students interested in Bachelor of Arts and psychological sciences. We have IT as an elective, so students interested in engineering or possibly in computer science and information technology. We have research as an elective as well. Again, open for any students that are interested in developing a little bit further their academic research skills. And finally, we have an elective on architecture for students seeking Bachelor of Architecture and Design.
There's a wide variety of courses they can choose from, right, Jimmy? So you chose one that related to your undergraduate degree.
Oh yes, definitely.
And then,
Yeah. So I majored in international relations and political science. I actually changed my degree halfway on my studies, but I really enjoyed international relations and political science.
Sure.
And IES, business management, and all the other elective subjects helped me a lot to catch up with all the background knowledge that I require for my reading materials for my international relations and political science major. Because as these are the political majors, all the classes are based on debating. So you actually take a side of it and you actually have to defend yourself. And it's all about politics, yeah. So it really helped me a lot to have some background knowledge about that. And also during the IES, they also help you to have some presentation skills and debating skills through various classes. And it really helped me a lot.
So more than that, you have other support in other areas at IES and coming into UQ as well. What were some of the other things that you did while you were studying at IES?
In IES, there's the interesting experience that I had in IES was IES Student Council. It's a very unique experience for international students having Australia, especially studying in IES. So I was, as a student counselor for IES, I was heavily involved in the community with the international students who are studying in IES. Also, you also organize the events like soccer competition or like trick or treat competition thingy. You actually have to get involved in being in a team, and you run the whole events within the team. And those experiences really helped me a lot to getting involved in the UQ community. So IES community is very small, but all the people knows each other, and you get confidence from there. And when you're going into the UQ community, it's so much bigger than IES, but you have your confidence in being in leading the small community, and being in a UQ community, you have confidence, so you can actually lead the bigger community with your own skills. And that helped me a lot to lead various clubs and societies that I was involved in UQ and heavily involved in the student union. Yes.
So lots of other things that happen at IES. I mean, IES is the exclusive provider of the foundation year for the University of Queensland. So that's the key entry point, isn't it?
It is a key entry point. It is a package offer, so students, when they have an offer to study the foundation year at IES, they have a full offer to study a foundation program, and they have a conditional offer from the University of Queensland. So they still have to meet some entry requirements established by the university. So, but it is a package offer. The students just have to meet those entry points, make sure they're doing the correct and picking the correct subjects. So you keep an eye on the prereq subjects for their desired bachelor degree. But yes, and we also provide regular visits to the faculties as well. So our current cohort of students, when they're studying at IES, they frequently visit the faculties to see the facilities, meet with the academics. We have a careers and market day at IES as well, where the faculties come in to talk to the current students and explain to them a little bit more about the programs and job and career prospects within their undergraduate choice.
Right. And Jimmy, what are you doing right now?
Oh, so I have two things going on happening in my life at the moment. So first thing is I have my own business. I actually started with my friends that I met in Brisbane. They're all Korean, but so our business idea is to try to summarize the news, political issues that is happening in Korea, and we're only targeting Korean people and who is interested in political issues. So we provide the news summary of the political issues, and we compare the different newspapers, and we combine the common facts that is coming from the newspaper, and also we also provide the individual opinions from the newspapers, so people can get involved in politics more frequently and getting involved deeply, and also people engage with the political issues, so people know what's happening right now and catching up with the current affairs. And the second thing that is happening for me is getting ready for my political career.
Wow.
So, yeah. So as I studied politics, I always wanted to get involved in political field since I was middle school. So at the moment, I'm preparing to go back to Korea and getting involved in the election that is happening in 2020, May. So from that pathway, I'll be able to getting into Korean politics and deeply know about the Korean politics, how it runs, how to function. And also, I actually have to go to the military service that is required for only Korean males. So I'm going for 3.5 years as an officer position. And after that, I'll be heavily involved in politics, and hopefully you'll be seeing me in the TV sometime.
That'll be awesome.
Well done.
And Fabio, it must be interesting to see your students who come through IES and go to UQ and go on to wonderful careers. There must be lots of examples like Jimmy of things that people have done, right?
Absolutely, we're very proud of alumni and like Jimmy that went through IES, successfully went to UQ and now has this amazing plans ahead of him. So yeah, and we're very proud to be offering a strong preparation for awesome university. For a fantastic.
We talked about that with ICTE as well, didn't we?
Yeah,
Saying there's
we
a
did.
top 50 university in the world. We need very strong programs leading in, and ICTE English language programs and IES Foundation programs are the perfect entry points into the University of Queensland. So I think it's a wonderful addition. So good job, Jimmy.
Thank you.
These programs also give the students the confidence.
Absolutely,
the
that's what you
networking
see,
abilities,
yeah.
which is great. Do you think that IES prepared you for, or has put you in where you are now?
Oh yeah, so definitely. Being a community leader is kind of be challenging. But when you start from a very small position, like with a small community, you get the confidence.
Yeah.
So like, the IES really helped me a lot to like develop those confidence, and when you become the leader of the community and you feel more responsible for yourself, and you be more independent, and that's how I got all the abilities from there, and I was able to like getting involved to student politics that is happening in UQ, and that's how I got here. Thank you.
Also next, this is to both of you. In terms of being an international student, where do you live while doing this program?
Where do I live? So like back in IES, I stayed at homestay. So I was staying with the Australian family. When I came to Australia, I had no relatives in Australia, and I had no clue what the Australian culture is and what the Australian household, like the feeling is. So like during this homestay period, I was able to learn a lot of like Australian cultures, like eating Vegemite, and also like having sausage and also like fried rice. Like, it was really good. Like sausage sizzle is my favorite thing now. And after that, I met a friend in IES, and we actually moved into share house together. So we actually rent a house together. So like we live in a share house, and I think that's most of the students are living when you're studying at UQ or IES.
Fantastic. I'll explain you a little bit about our accommodation policy, okay? It depends on the student's age. So if they are 16, and by the way, that's the minimum age that the students need to have before they can commence at IES. So if they are 16, they have to stay at homestay, okay? We make all the arrangements and the placement for the students, but if they're 16, they have to stay at homestay. If they are 17, they have a choice. They can stay either at a homestay provider or they can stay one of the student purpose-built accommodation providers that we work with, and we work with the same providers as the university, so it's a Student One or Urbanest. If the students are 18-year-old or over, they can basically choose their own, they're free to choose their own accommodation. We do have an accommodation department, so that's to help students. Doesn't matter if the arrangement, if it's a homestay, if it's purpose-built accommodation, if they're looking for their own accommodation, we have an accommodation department to help the students in the process of trying to find accommodation. We understand that can be quite overwhelming.
Yeah. So it's actually pretty similar to UQ.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, great.
So I guess that's it. Yeah.
That's another fabulous example, and
Yeah.
great to see you here, Jimmy, and thanks very much,
Yes.
Fabio. It's great.
Thank you so
For
much.
having me.
Thank you for joining us today, both of you. And but before we go, could you please tell us where to get more information about IES?
Absolutely. You can get more information. You can jump on our website, or you can just flick an email to us or contact us in any of our social media accounts.
All right.
They should be linked somewhere in the video.
All right. Yep. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
And so just to go backwards a little bit, today we've talked about two different pathways. So firstly, the English language pathway, so the Bridging English program, and the EAP
ICTE.
program, so at ICTE,
Yep.
and now the Foundation Year program to go into undergraduate programs at the University of Queensland. So we hope that that's given you a lot more information and some pathways to get into the University of Queensland and onto your future. Thank you very much for listening to us.
Thank you for joining me today, Anthony.
Thank you very much. It was wonderful.
Don't forget to go to the UQ website for more information. And thank you for joining us. Bye-bye.
Bye.